Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here. Next part in our perfect team building series. This one's going to kind of be short to a degree because it's not going to be really precise. It's not going to be incredibly specific. It's just kind of covering what a sweeper is. That there's so much importance to the sweeper itself that it's going to take multiple videos to understand the sweeper completely. So this one's just going to kind of be a quick overview because there are many types of sweepers. You have special attack sweepers, you just have physical sweepers, you have mixed sweepers, you have completely just speedy sweepers, and you also have setup sweepers. And even then, there's a lot of weird things that work in between them that kind of break rules and stuff. But overall, you just need to know that what a sweeper is. For those of you who don't know, think of a broom. You just kind of sweep away, you clean the field. You throw dust and debris under the rug or out the door or whatever you end up doing. And that's what the Pokemon kind of embodies. That's going to be fast, hit hard, and try to eliminate as many threats your opponent has. That's why you see a lot of Pokemon consistently, is because they are very consistent sweepers. They do their job well, and they're reliable, very reliable for that person, or that just as a Pokemon in general, that you do see a lot of the same Pokemon, like Talonflame. Here we go, let's look at the list right here. That's why I brought up Cerebi, just to kind of use this as more of a guide to show you the sweeping potential in the game that you are able to look at right here. You see a lot of Talonflame, you see a lot of Greninja, because these Pokemon are reliable. They're fast, they hit hard enough, and they have a good form of damaging your opponent and really punishing them for just being faster and hitting harder, and that's what the sweeper is all about. Now there are a lot more dynamics in between that sometimes it's not about just being fast. Dugtrio here, top 30 fastest Pokemon in the game. You don't see it a lot because its base attack is only 80. That it doesn't really have a lot of ridiculous amounts of damage to really turn reliable KOs. But at the same time, there's Pokemon that are slower that you see a lot more of. Infernape gets a lot of play. Terrakion, for sure. These Pokemon are indeed slower. Now you're not looking at the top 30, top 20 fastest Pokemon. You're looking at the top 100 fastest Pokemon. Garchomp even. Garchomp, it's more of a bulky sweeper. Again, I'll have to get into that. I call them bruisers. But at the same time, that it hits fast, 333 base speed. Only 88 Pokemon are going to be faster than it, and it still has a ridiculous amount of attack at 130 base, which is some of the highest in the game. If we go and pull up this right here, it just shows us that strongest hitting Pokemon. That 130 base attack is only shared by the top 50. So now you're looking at Pokemon that's some of the fastest in the game, some of the hardest hitting in the game, and can really start punishing. Oh, this is special attack. This is attack. So yeah, that these Pokemon are some of the hardest hitting, fastest punishing Pokemon in the game, and that's why they are sweepers. That whenever you see a Pokemon that you're not ready to handle, that if it outspeeds you, you're just like, well, I'm dead. I either switch in to die, or I keep my Pokemon in to die, and you know what that's like. And that's kind of why sweepers are a very core part of a team. That when I was talking about tanks don't reliably score KOs. They're not fast. They don't progress the speed of the game, which is what sweepers do. That if you bring out a Scarfed Pokemon that has a high amount of damage, or just a fast Pokemon that has a high amount of damage, it can decide a turn, in one turn, whether or not that Pokemon survives or gets KO'd, or whether or not it survives or get KO'd. It adds a lot more pace to the game. And sometimes that's just a very good thing, that if your opponent can't keep up with you, your opponent is going to lose. Or that if you can't keep up with your opponent, you're going to lose. That they always one step ahead of you because they're just hitting faster and they're hitting harder. That's why a lot of people see Lucario as a threat, a lot of people see Kangaskhan as a threat. That they have that speed, they either have priority, like Kangaskhan, or they just have natural speed and damage, and you just don't know what to do about them. That sometimes a Pokemon isn't defensive enough to survive it, and if you don't have something faster to knock it out, it's over. But at the same time, sweepers aren't this unstoppable force. That if sweepers were unstoppable forces, you'd see 6 sweepers in every game, but you don't. See 3, 2, 4, depending on how the opponent likes running. But never, or almost never, do you just see a pure team of sweepers, because these Pokemon are frail. That a Mega Lucario, if you get a hold of it with one good neutral hit, or even a super effective hit, it's immediately gone from the game. Same thing with a lot of special attack sweepers, or just these speedy Pokemon. That with high base speed comes low defenses. Weavile, 65, 85 base defenses, and you're not investing into any of those, so it's going to be low. That you know what it's like to get a hold of a Greninja, that it's going to get a one-hit KO if it doesn't KO you first. Same with Dugtrio, Alakazam, a lot of these fast Pokemon. Talonflame. If you hit Talonflame with a Rock-type move, it doesn't stand a chance no matter what you are. Even a neutral effective move just punishes it. So that's what sweepers rely on. Sweepers rely on being first and hitting the hardest. And if they can't do that, they lose. That you're at a disadvantage for bringing that Pokemon, because if, say, you know, a Talonflame goes and uses Brave Bird on Garchomp, Garchomp has enough bulk to survive it. While it's not faster, it can turn around and hit harder. But at the same time, Talonflame hits really good with that Brave Bird, that another Pokemon that it outspeeds has a high potential of getting KO'd. And that's where just all this infinite potential in the games happens, that you're looking for good coverage, you're looking for just being different, that changing up the EVs, the nature, just changing up the moveset of a Pokemon can make the difference between one or many games. That I think that many times I've felt myself just going, why does this Pokemon have this move? I only lost because it had that move. That's just silly. And I know a lot of you have probably thought that as well. And that's really what it's about, that you need to understand what your team needs, and that's kind of how you build the perfect team. But at the same time, you need to understand sweepers as a whole, that, you know, sweepers, again, I'll bring up this triangle. Sweepers are better than setup Pokemon, because setup Pokemon, you know, they need time, they have a vulnerability, and sweepers take advantage of that vulnerability. But at the same time, bulkier bruiser Pokemon, as I call them, they're not faster, but they hit harder, and they take advantage of sweepers. But since the bruiser Pokemon don't hit harder, setup Pokemon can go and take advantage of them by setting up and getting powerful. So there's a lot to understand. Hopefully it all makes sense to you guys soon, that it's kind of like when you're watching a criminal show, or like something where they have the bulletin board and it's, you know, a pin, a thumbtack and some string, a thumbtack and some string. I have a lot of loose thumbtacks and the strings are starting to come together. That now you understand the importance of a physical wall because of how strong and fast some of these physical Pokemon are. That there are a lot of Pokemon that can hit hard and ruin another sweeper's day, and you want to be able to stop that. But at the same time, you need to know that you just can't win with tanks. That tanks, they don't hit hard enough. They don't progress the game fast enough. That they are more to disrupt than to gain advantage. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it all starts making sense and just you guys understand it soon. Don't worry, there's a lot of parts of this series. Eventually you'll start refining. Eventually you might go, oh, now that's why he said that and it didn't make sense back then, because it'll make sense soon. So I hope you guys have faith, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a nice day.